Some of the top tier law schools in the world often ask for law school optional essays. What are these essays and why do you need them? What should they contain? How to prepare for them? All of this will be discussed in our video today. But before we begin, I do want to focus on the word optional in this video. While the essays may seem optional, they're not really optional for most students. And I will explain a little bit more about that as we get into the content. But I want to make sure that as you're preparing your law school applications, you are not missing out on any part of the application process where you can stand out as an applicant. Law school is an immensely competitive field, especially if you're applying to Ivy League schools or top tier law schools. So when you have elements of the application that are given to you where you can stand out, even though they're called optional, you might want to take those optional elements up and actually complete them. And before we get into the details of law school optional essays, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Zhenya Kramchenkova. I'm the content manager here at BMO, and we've helped hundreds and thousands of students pursue their careers and their academic dreams. So I'm here to give you a little bit more information on the optional essays for law schools, how you can prepare them, how you can succeed, and I'll give you a sample so you can kind of get inspired for your own essay and you can reflect on what you maybe can include in your own. So the first question you're probably wondering about is, are law school optional essays really optional? Well, yes and no. Why they're called optional is, number one, if you do not submit it, your application might not get rejected right away. While, for example, a law school personal statement is a mandatory part of your application, optional essays may not be. They're given to you as an option, as not as a requirement. So essentially, if you're competing in a pool of applicants and they see that you didn't submit an optional essay, you might not get rejected right away. But if you don't submit, let's say, your personal statement or your transcripts, you'll be removed from the applicant pool immediately. So that's the number one thing. Yes, if you don't submit, you don't always get rejected right away. However, optional essays are also your opportunity to showcase what you are and what you can bring to the law school that you're applying to. You might already think, well, I already wrote the personal statement. I might have submitted a resume or a CV already. My transcripts say it all, That's all true. But your optional essays are often used to find out just a little bit more about you and something that makes you unique. So, for example, a really common optional essay is the law school statement of diversity or law school diversity essay. Does that mean that you haven't talked about your diversity in other parts of the application? No, but this is your chance to really bring up something new. Why does this matter? Because, as I said, you're competing against thousands of applicants in a school, just one school. So your optional essay is really your chance to stand out. And while you do not have to use this chance, you might miss out if you do not. What do I mean by this? Your school is giving you an opportunity to really be creative and to really take the chance to tell a story about an event or experience that you have that makes you a really great candidate for their school. With diversity, that is very common prop, by the way. With diversity optional essay, while you can definitely discuss some of the traditional topics of diversity that we've come to kind of expect and know, like racial diversity, gender diversity, sexual orientation, immigration status, those are all great. You might have already put them in your personal statement. So if you have the option to write a diversity essay, you might think, well, I already discussed, my diversity. But use the optional essay prompt as an opportunity to discuss something new, even if it's the same kind of topic, let's say gender identity. Think of an example or an event that happened in your life that really solidified your pursuit of law, or how being a certain gender, or a certain group of immigrant, how did that shape you as you were growing up? How did it make you, unique? And what did you learn about yourself and others? How can you bring something new to a cohort at the law school where you're applying to? These are the types of things that you might want to consider when you're writing your law school optional essay. And before we continue with the examples and what you can write about, I do want to say that a lot of optional essays will have prompts. And that's really good news for those who don't really know what to write about. And why prompts help? Because they give you an idea of what you can brainstorm, and of what you can really include in these essays. Because a blanketed statement like why law, or some schools don't even have prompts for their personal statements, so it's harder to write. But with personal statements, the key is you always know that sort of you have to answer why law, why you're pursuing this career path. With optional essays, as I already mentioned, schools are trying to learn a little bit more about you, something unique about you, and this is your chance to be creative. So here are some of the prompts that you might find with optional law school essays. Describe yourself in 5 words. That's one of the prompts that one of the law schools presents to their students as an option. And here's a chance to be creative. Just use 5 words and describe yourself. What do you like to read, watch, or listen to? Again, something that tells them a little bit about yourself. For example, maybe you love the opera, and you can showcase how you've been involved in the music world of your school or your town or your city, whatever it is that makes you passionate. What historical moment do you wish you saw with your own eyes? Again, such an opportunity to be creative and show what you're interested in, what you're passionate about. So these are the types of prompts that you should expect. And as you can see, they are really about you. Personal statements can sometimes be a little bit more formulaic. That doesn't mean that you can't be creative in your personal statement. In fact, you should do everything possible to stand out in your personal statement. But, the story needs to be told from the perspective of, why law and why are you pursuing law? Here, you have a little bit more freedom with these essays to say what you want to say about yourself, and what you want the admissions committee to know about you, what you can bring to the cohort that you're joining in your law school. For example, you will often be asked about things you do outside of school or outside of work. As I already mentioned, those prompts, like those are your hobbies or passions. So this is a chance for you to really shine and be yourself, which unfortunately is not always possible with application essays. So do use this as an opportunity to have fun and to reflect on what makes you a really unique and beautiful candidate for the school you're applying to. And before we get into the examples, I just wanted to go over how you can write the essay, how to start it, and how to basically complete it. Because it's really important that you understand the process of writing these optional essays. First of all, if you can, follow the academic essay structure where possible. I already mentioned a prompt that said, describe yourself in 5 words only. In this case, you might not be able to use the academic essay format, specifically if the prompt tells you that you have 5 word limit, right? There's just nothing you can do. You can't write an essay in this case. But if you get a prompt that is more, for example, what do you do outside of work? Or what is your passion? Try to follow the academic essay format. Why? Because it allows you to tell a story, other like rather than just kind of creating a formless, unstructured narrative. An academic essay format will really help you narrow down your thoughts and your story by having a really captivating introduction, a body paragraph, and a conclusion. So you can really, really narrow down the story and kind of make it into a coherent narrative. So that's why the essay, academic essay format is best for those types of prompts. Another thing I really need to emphasize here about optional essays is that do not repeat information you already included in other aspects of your application. So if you talked about an event that led you to pursue law, like an internship or something like that, don't include it in your optional essay. The admissions committee already knows this part of your journey, so the optional essay is your opportunity to tell them other things about yourself, some experiences or events or characteristics, whatever it is that the prompt is asking about. So do not repeat the information you include. It will just not bode well for you if you can't think of new aspects about yourself that the committee would find interesting. The next important part of the optional essay planning and execution is that try to use them strategically. What do I mean by that? You have a lot of competition here. So if you have a choice of prompts, like not just one or two, for example, a school will say, pick one and write about it. Choose the one where you will stand out the most. As I said, don't repeat the same information and choose a prompt that will really make you shine. For example, they'll ask about, something you do outside of school or outside of work. If you're an athlete and you haven't mentioned that before, pick that prompt rather than talk about an academic achievement you're most proud of. You might have already talked about the academic achievement that you're most proud of in your other aspects of the application, like your GPA or your LSAT score. So if they're asking about your activities outside of school or outside of work, and you love football and you haven't mentioned that, choose that one. So use this optional essay as a strategy to showcase something new. Don't pick a prompt that you think will be most kind of impressive to the admissions committee. If you think law schools only care about academic achievements, you're wrong. In fact, this is why we give you the option of several prompts often for you to pick the one that will represent you the most. So do be strategic with your choices of prompts if you're given that choice. And the last big advice I have for optional essays, just like for the rest of your law school application or any other application you will ever do in your life, is follow the instructions. You will not get far if you miss the word count or, if you don't answer the prompt that's being asked. You must follow the instructions in order to show that you pay attention to detail, that you're organized, and that you know what you're doing. You're really dedicated to this application and you want to do your best. So please follow instructions of whatever prompt that you get and whatever the school wants to see in those optional essays, including word count. And, if it says 5 words, just give them 5 words. If it says 250 words, give them 250 words. Okay? So I have one law school option essay example for you. Do listen up, reflect on what you would say to the prompt that I'm about to give you, and let's see what an optional essay can do for you as an applicant. So the prompt is, what important challenge does society face today? The most important challenge society faces today is to collaborate for a better future. There are more people on the planet than ever before, and with so many different generations, cultures, and peoples all trying to find common ground, it can create a sort of too many cooks in the kitchen dilemma. Society has been changing rapidly, and the world is changing more drastically than ever before. It is my belief that collaboration is our biggest challenge. We're all aware of the global problems facing our society today and the various efforts around the globe to implement solutions and come up with the answer. However, with so many different voices clamoring to be heard and different perspectives all clashing in the discussion, it can be hard to see any forward progress. Solving our problems on a global scale will be some of the most significant challenges any of us will know in our lifetimes. So, in my opinion, learning to work together for a solution will be the biggest obstacle. It is my belief that it is time to see new voices and new solutions in the room. This may, of course, contribute further to the problem since there are already so many individuals wanting to be heard. But we have also seen in recent years how the younger generations have been stepping up and adding their contributions in positive ways. In politics, in technology, in environmentalism, in law, and in industries across the globe, there have been a turnover of new ideas. And I think focusing on new ideas and figuring out how to make them work now is far more beneficial than other debates. We already know what needs to be done. Our biggest challenge will be to stop thinking of our individual needs and start thinking collectively of our global futures. So why is this essay good? Uh, First of all, it keeps to the instructions. Just so you know, it's very well organized. There's an introduction where we find immediately what the answer to the prompt is. It immediately addresses the prompt, but we also see that this person is really focused on teamwork and team building. It tells us a little bit more about this person and how they will operate not only as a lawyer, but perhaps in their personal life as well. They understand the dilemma of too many voices, cultures, the clash of civilizations, if you will, and they tell us that while that is acknowledged, it needs to be solved and moved past. And so this essay gives us a little more understanding of what the student will really pursue and how they will approach their career and their personal life. So it tells us more than just, this is why I want to pursue law. This gives us a perspective on their thinking, on their mindset, and how they would work out things if they were to be a lawyer, for example. So before I go, I'll leave you with this thought. If your essay is optional and you're given the option to submit a law school optional essay or supplemental essay, of course it is up to you whether you want to do it or not. However, this is an opportunity to really boost your application and to stand out, show a little bit about yourself and your approach to, life, to the world, to law. So I would encourage you to use it. Take time to reflect on what you can add. Take time to reflect on the optional prompts that you see in your application. And, everybody has a story to tell. If you think that you don't have anything interesting to add to your optional essay, you're probably wrong. I bet you're wrong. So talk to an expert or talk to your family and friends, your classmates, of what makes you unique, and tell your story through this essay, just a little glimpse of it, but still, this will help build a bigger picture of who you are as a candidate and how you can successfully contribute to your law school. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Of course, if you have questions about your law school optional essay or the law school application process, leave your questions in the comment section and we will get back to you, of course. And I wish you a great success with your application, and I'll see you next time.